Sea of Thieves was one of the biggest games on PlayStation 5 last month. I'm not really surprised. It's a game that many outside the Xbox ecosystem didn't even know about. Also, its release window was perfectly timed. April and May are pretty damn slow for big game releases. Microsoft took advantage of that and gave PS5 owners an amazing multiplayer experience they've never seen before. This game is a blast to play. It doesn't hold your hand and you gotta figure things out. It's pretty manual. It takes a bit of time to pick up and learn the ins and outs of the game, but once you get familiar with it, it's really one of the best and most unique multiplayer experiences out there. I did compare how this game runs on Xbox Series X versus PS5, and during that comparison, I missed out on a big feature. That's of course the 120 FPS mode for Sea of Thieves. Xbox Series S doesn't get this mode, so it's exclusive to the more powerful Series X and PS5. You need to have a display that's capable of 120 Hz, and you do need to go into the game settings and turn that 120 FPS mode on. While Sea of Thieves can run 4K 60 FPS in the default mode, the 120 Hz mode brings that resolution down to 1080p. When I compare that 60 FPS mode on the Series X versus PS5, the quality of the shadows was clearly better on PS5. Other than that, Sea of Thieves ran almost identical on both the Series X and PS5. Both consoles held that 60 FPS fairly well with only some minor drops of a frame here and there. So what about the 1080p 120 FPS mode? How does that compare on the Series X versus PS5? After all, when you go buy a Series X or PS5, the box does say 4K 120 FPS. There really aren't any games that can run 4K 60 FPS except maybe Prince of Persia: The Forgotten Sands, but there are a few that run 1080p and 120 FPS, and Sea of Thieves is one of them. On Xbox Series X, the 120 FPS is pretty stable. It stays locked at 120 FPS most of the time. There are of course some drops, in some cases to 115 FPS, but overall, I mean, this is really good. You're not really gonna notice those drops. PlayStation 5 on the other hand is a bit worse. PS5 rarely delivers a solid locked 120 FPS. PS5 is well below that at all times, and the average is around 100 to 110 FPS most of the time. There's also times where PS5 drops below 100 FPS. So if you're looking for the highest frame rate on Sea of Thieves, it's really Xbox Series X that wins in that department. Honestly, for this game, anything 60 FPS or above is good enough. This isn't a high intensity first-person shooter, although there are some elements of first-person shooter. That's of course just a small part of the game. So 60 FPS at 4K is likely the best mode if you want the best looking visuals and want to play on a big, large 4K TV. For those of you that have some insane FPS sensitivity, well, you can go ahead with that 120 Hz mode. There's another feature that Microsoft's supporting for this game on both the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5, and of course the Series S as well, and that's mouse and keyboard. On all the consoles, Sea of Thieves does support mouse and keyboard natively, so you can kind of play it like a PC if you want. So that's Sea of Thieves at 120 FPS on Xbox Series X versus PS5. For the rest of the video, I have some more gameplay with that FPS counter shown, so check that out.